All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence, Canelo Alvarez's advice on how he can beat Terence Crawford, which he says he does not think is going to happen. Let's talk about it, and because this is the only way I'm going to talk about it, Canelo Alvarez's upcoming fight with Gennady Golovkin in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, let me start off by saying, oh man, how the mighty have fallen. Canelo Alvarez was asked a question about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, gave his insight, and it literally is the only thing interesting or press-worthy that he has said all week. And this is in the week of him actually having a fight against Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Now, before I get into what he said and the significance of the fact that nobody cares anything about what Canelo's doing this weekend, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber or a new subscriber supporter, what's up, good people? Thank y'all so much for y'all support. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. So let's get into this, man. Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion at 168 pounds, who will be fighting this upcoming weekend to defend that WBA, IBF, WBO, and WBC belts. All of those belts he will be defending this weekend against Gennady Triple G Golovkin in his first fight outside of the 160-pound weight class that I know of, at least, at 168 for a fight that absolutely nobody asked for. But yet, hey man, I'm going to watch it because I'm a boxing addict. What can I say? However, it is interesting that pretty much the only thing interesting that he talked about this week was what his thoughts were on the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford potential fight that we all hope happens. But, you know, look, man, time keeps on ticking on that one. And I have another video that I dropped earlier today about that and some news that was dropped by the Boxing Voice about how Errol may be moving on from that fight. But regardless, still a great conversation for boxing nuts who want to know what a very, very great, a great fighter, because Canelo's he's going to go down as a great fighter. Terrific career, all of that good stuff. Just really hasn't done anything that I've been interested in him doing. Other than a fight with Danny Jacobs in the last 5 years. But, you know, it is what it is, man. Got to give respect where credit is due. Canelo Alvarez is asked who he thinks wins the fight, and he says, I think Terence Crawford is going to win the fight. And he says because Terence Crawford can fight southpaw. Now, my first take on that one was, Errol's a southpaw too. And why would you think that Errol fighting a southpaw and a southpaw matchup would necessarily be an advantage for Terence Crawford? I would think, and obviously not on the same level of analysis as Canelo Alvarez, but at the same time acknowledging maybe Canelo just forgot that Errol's also a southpaw, because it's not a situation where Errol's going to be going in there as an orthodox fighter and has to deal with the southpaw, because orthodox fighters don't like fighting southpaws. People who are southpaws don't like fighting southpaws. So if Terence is going to fight as a southpaw, he's going to have problems with a southpaw, and it opens up Errol's jab. It prevents Terence Crawford is going to have to use that southpaw stance in a completely different way. But that aside, Canelo Alvarez was asked what Errol had to do in order to beat Terence Crawford. And I thought what he said again, it was like he needs to be patient to beat Terence Crawford. And I thought to myself, okay, well, what do you mean by he needs to be patient? He needs to make sure that he does not jump in there, right? Now, I do agree with that if Errol Spence Jr. is going to beat Terence Crawford, he cannot get ahead of himself and try to just run in there and try to start bombing away to his body. Because if he does so, Terence Crawford has excellent timing and is going to catch him on the way in. In order for Errol to get where Errol needs to be to win the fight, which is, I do believe, in mid-range and inside close, to really do the work the way that Errol likes to do it, he's going to have to be very careful as he comes in. However, as Paulie Malignaggi has said when he was speaking to Antonio Tarver and Roy Jones Jr. on is it Boxer? Man, I hate that I'm messing it up. Boxer is the promotional company. ProBox. ProBox is the podcast that those guys have where Paulie Malignaggi is on there. Juan Manuel Marquez is on there in the Spanish-speaking version with Paulie Malignaggi. But what Paulie Malignaggi said was, look, Errol is not like these other guys. He does not come, he comes in, but he's not reckless when he's coming in behind that jab. He's not somebody that you're just going to be able to catch with anything willy-nilly. He's somebody that really is responsible and comes in behind the jab to get on the inside and is very good at closing that distance and closing that space, but he doesn't do it in a way that he's irresponsible. So maybe where Canelo was saying, make sure that, you are patient and that you take your time, you don't rush it. Make sure that means that you're not going to rush in there and let Terence Crawford, really see some big openings where, he can hit you and he can finish you. Because as people continually say, Terence Crawford is one of the best finishers in the sport of boxing. However, in order to finish somebody, you got to hurt them, right? And I've never seen Errol Spence Jr. really be in a situation where he has been significantly hurt, right? And also, Errol Spence Jr. himself is not exactly a very bad finisher. When he gets somebody hurt, he tends to get them out of there as well. He just goes about hurting people and goes about that business in a different fashion than Terence Crawford does, where Terence Crawford is catching people with them quick hooks, especially when he puts that right hand out there in front of him, right? And is able to actually hit you with that right hand out there in front. And that's where I was like, for example, that's what he did with Kell Brook. But, Canelo Alvarez's analysis of it, I got to respect it. I do believe Errol is going to have to be patient and he's going to have to, work his way in there. However, he's got to be very careful that he doesn't get behind on the cards, right? And that he is constantly putting that pressure on Terence Crawford, in a systematic way and wearing Terence Crawford down, because you don't want, Terence to go to 11th and 12th round and still have a lot, 10th, 11th round and still have a lot left in his tank. Because if the more you're able to drain him and push him earlier, the less likely that big knockout is going to be there for him, or the big opportunity to get him buzzed is really going to be there for him, later on in the fight. At the end of the day, though, man, I just big time hope the fight gets made, because I don't want either one of these fighters to go the way of Canelo, which is, being in big fights that people want to see, but always finding some way to go off and do something else, man. It's a shame that I believe that Canelo did not fight David Benavidez, that he's not going to fight David Benavidez. More than likely, he's not going to fight Charlo, not going to fight Demetrius Andrade, not going to fight according to him, any Mexicans. So, anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comments section, however, and with that, I'm out. Deuces.